The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hello, welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast on the GallowgateShots YouTube channel, and it's all four of us again. It's your host Chris, joined by Bestie, Mark, and Decker. Boys, shall we start with Newcastle United or England? Just like I said last week, and I went the opposite way.
I've got a terrible seat for tonight, haven't I? I mean, I know I've got this seat every week.
Come along a bit, man.
How do you think, Decker?
I can't watch the telly Saturday. I need a mirror on this wall, angled slightly.
Oh, it's 1-0 at
that. But yeah, would you like to talk about Newcastle or England?
Well, I'm not sure what we'll talk about Newcastle, so probably start with England.
There's one. I think there's one talking point.
Well, the signing.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, let's talk there.
Okay, let's go.
Let's talk it. So Newcastle United, have they strengthened their defence? Obviously, we know that we've got some injury concerns with our centre back players at the moment. So, like, you've got Botman, who's obviously got the ACL injury. You've got Lascelles. Was that the same injury as well? Was that ACL as well?
Same time frame, so I guess.
Yeah. So both those out, and we don't know when they're really going to be back or when they're going to be back to match fitness.
And Dummett's left.
And Dummett has left, yes.
R.I.P. Paul.
Dummett has gone.
PD3
so
forever.
We're a little bit light in defence at the minute, Decker. If you considering those injuries as well going into the start of next season. We missed out on Tosin, who went to Chelsea, which we discussed last week. So that was a shame, but obviously can't really blame him being in Fulham for the last couple of years, and he just decided to stay there where he's made it his home. So we have gone for the next available option, which was Lloyd Kelly on a free deal. His contract had run out, I believe. So we have assigned him as a free agent, but he has came from Bournemouth, as Mark would say. Bournemouth. We've mentioned a few times about injury concerns, and when we're bringing somebody in on the back of players being injured,
smell his breath.
So I can just pretend I'm Freddie Mercury.
For those listening to the audio, Percy's mic just fell off the desk.
Because you've made us come that far inside. The stand's falling a bit now as well.
He burped downstairs, right? We'll have to just get this out now. Right? He burped downstairs, and me and him, and he collapsed.
Really? Was that bad?
Honestly, I had an
actual garlic.
A curry, garlic bread with it as well.
Right,
homemade curry, not with it.
And then he had a chocolate boost on the way over, he said. And he was dipping that in the garlic sauce. It was unbelievable. So his mic's melted.
He's fully off shot as well at the minute as well. So people watching Bestie still, we're gonna have to check his mic in a minute, but he's I don't even know what's happening right now. But yeah, Decker, let's carry it.
I did think you were about to break into one vision or something like that.
Does that?
You know why it is? It's because I'm sitting that far across, like all the way to the microphones.
Is that what it is?
It's a lot of weight to bear on the face.
Right.
One vision.
Think how your chair feels. I'm on one tonight.
Sorry, if this is your first time watching or listening to this podcast, this is probably what you get all the time. But Decker, back to are you all right?
I'm the victim in all this.
Can somebody call facilities?
Actually, there is some lean there.
It's because I'm sitting on his lap, more or less.
Do you want to go and sit next door?
I didn't know why am I sitting all over here?
Can you not move that? Can you not move that there?
I'm normally over here, and it's fine.
But if you put that side, does that make any sense?
Thanks for tuning in, folks. It's not going to get any better than this.
That's what I meant.
It's on now. We've started. We've done whatever. Yes, Lloyd Kelly.
Yes, Lloyd Kelly. Yes,
it was announced last week.
He's had 3 seasons here in the time he's pissed around with that mic.
Initial thoughts.
Well, I mean, listen, it's I think you always have this feeling, don't you, sometimes when you get a free transfer that not me personally, sorry, but some of the fans or the media or other fans are like, oh, richest club in the world, and you've got a free transfer from Bournemouth. Like, it's one of them that you get thrown at. But at the end of the day, when they've obviously admired him, that we need to strengthen in that area. You can play kind of 2 positions. You can fill in that gap as well. And
remember, you're not allowed to play 2 positions. You're only allowed one position.
You can play 2 or 3, 4 positions. You just got to understand what the player's best one is, which you cannot. But I think, is he an upgrade on Dummett? Absolutely, has to be. Physically has to be, right? I think. So that's good. The only downside I would say is potentially the injury record when you look at it on paper. Just when you look at it on paper, though. And I think maybe it's just because of all the injuries we had last season, you're thinking, what happens if he comes in? But that doesn't mean he's not going to be a success or anything. But I've read a few things and I watched the podcast of the Bournemouth side in terms of what they're losing, and they seem quite. What's the word? Quite.
I think that's always a good barometer of away fans. Is
he's well thought of, wasn't
he? When they are upset that a player's leaving, given the circumstances that they are, and they would have preferred to have seen him stay.
Yeah,
that's a good sign for the team that's receiving him. And as you say, Decker, he was well thought of by the Bournemouth fans. I've seen a lot of comments from their fans saying that he's probably the best defender that they've had, albeit his kind of career has been curtailed by injuries, as we've just been saying there. And I think that is obviously the biggest concern that we're going to have with him is his previous injury record. And you would just hope that.
Would you say that we're talking? We've got more concern over his injury record than his ability.
Oh, 100%.
That's what I feel. Yeah.
From the limited amount of times that I've seen him, he's always looked a very, very good and capable defender. It's not that long ago that he was being talked about he's done it again. Getting talked about.
Oh my God, Bessie, that's talking that.
Now you understand.
I've got lemon.
Thank God at home.
I think I swallowed that.
Thank God at home you don't have smell of
exacerbating things.
Yeah, it's really bad.
How many garlic breads did you have?
Quite a lot.
All of
them.
Horrendous, isn't it? But I think it's not that long ago that he was being talked of, potential call-ups for England and stuff like that. And if he's at that kind of quality, then you're getting a good one. And as I say, if it just wasn't for that niggle and doubt around his injury problems, I think there'd be a lot more clubs lining up to take him on.
I actually went on YouTube and started looking at when we played them. There's a game where he played against us, and he was, I think it was. It's funny because you never really look at the opposition in that regard. But I was watching a few times. Miggy got played in behind, and just put the afterburners on and was equally keeping up with him, if not beating him. And I was like, "Whoa, God, he's fast!"
I think I saw last week about his injuries seemed to indicate that he doesn't tend to get repeat injuries. Like it's not like Wilson's groin or something like that. It's
constant.
It's like they're all different things, which is promising because repeat injuries might indicate a weakness somewhere in his body. Where if it's all different things happening, it's be a bit unlucky.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case.
Potentially, it's been things like rushing him back. His recovery hasn't been quite correct.
Good job we don't do that.
It's definitely not going to happen here, is it? So I don't know. You just hope that he knows his body a bit better than he may have done in the previous season, 2 seasons, and listens to it a bit more and comes back strongly.
I think we would have had both when we wanted both of them, didn't we? Really,
we were looking at them both.
We were just unlucky we couldn't.
I don't think Kelly's not Tosin's replacement. It was going to be like an augmentation.
That's right.
An additional.
So whose replacement is he best? Is he like? I don't even want to say Dummett's replacement because Dummett's game time was few and far between, really, wasn't it?
I don't think he's a replacement as such. I don't think we've lost it. Yeah, I think. I mean, you could argue that if you're going to use the word replacement, that he's replacing Botman and Lascelles early in the season. Probably likelihood is he'll be a starter, or maybe he's replacing Dan Burn because you can play left back and centre half, and obviously Dan Burn, whilst primarily a centre half, can also play. He can turn his hand at left back.
Certainly not in his time here at Newcastle United FC.
His best performances against centre half, I would say.
Debatable.
Certainly in the last 12 months.
Possibly last season.
So yes, then. So I would say, if anything, he's maybe enabling. I think we probably will see Dan Burn go back to left back. And I think the likelihood is you would get your man playing centre half. I'll probably rather the other way around.
I think it might be the other way around.
I'll prefer that. Why do you think it might be the other way around, Mark? Is it because you recognise that Dan Burn is actually a centre half primarily who can?
No, I think
who's adaptable enough.
I think it's just because Kelly has got more pace than Dan Burn, so is therefore.
So Kelly's attributes lend himself more to being a natural left back, whereas Dan Burns.
No, because his natural position is a left centre half.
All right, like
which is where he's because Dan Burn hasn't played the majority of his career.
He has
at left back.
Oh, he played the majority of his career at left centre half. So, Dan Burn.
Yeah, well, I would like him to be left back because I'm all about pace down in them areas. And
But that means Lewis Hall doesn't play.
No. Well, no. Again, to Bestie's point, actually makes a good one. Is that I don't think it's a replacement. It's just bolstering your options of what you've got available that can come in and do a job.
Yeah,
for the first team.
It's boosting the squad, isn't
For
it?
argument's sake,
So
season starts next week.
Paul
Right? Season starts next week.
Yeah.
What's your strongest 11 next week? If we disregard players that are injured, right? Available players.
So everyone's
soggy comment like, well, none of them available at Europe.
No, I'm not going to do that, Chris. You think so little of us. So I'm talking.
Something he would say.
So if everyone was fit,
No. So current status for Newcastle United players in regards to fitness and injuries.
All right.
Keep that into consideration.
Well,
right?
given
So
that,
the likes of Botman and Lascelles are injured. What's your
Right.
starting strongest defense?
well, I mean, if you're starting in goal, you've got to look at. There's only been 2 or 3 clean sheets kept in European Championships this summer already, and Martin Deprived has kept one of those.
Okay, so the
So he starts in goal.
Despite conceding 2 goals today.
What was the score line? It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because Trippier, his form, you kind of drop Trippier because
You can Livermore 100% starts
Really?
right back for me. 100%.
I don't know. Again, it goes back to what was said in January, or what I said in January when I was right about Trippier.
Dan Burns a left back.
Trippier's not just. Well, ironically, Trippier isn't just a right back. He's the captain. He's the kind of the leadership he brings on the pitch, which I love Tino, but Tino doesn't have that yet. Maybe he'll pick it up. Trippier's experience, I think it feels a bit like he is kind of on the decline a little bit, to be honest with you, which is, I don't like to say it. Like, I love the lad, but I thought he played quite well last night. But
I thought he was great last night.
Yeah, but I think Trippier right back. Yeah, I do. I think Trippier right back. I mean, Fabian Schär probably picks himself really at right centre half, left centre half. I think Byrne and Kelly left back, and I think it's a bit harsh on Lewis Hall because I think he's been excellent the last towards the end of last season. I think a little bit like Miley, he's played more than how would have wanted to. Like, kind of had his hand forced a little bit, and I think he was excellent.
Well, Eddie was trying his hardest not to earlier in the
He
season.
was done a long time doing that, didn't he? Well, I don't understand. Well, yeah, because he must be.
In fairness, if you do go with that back 4, then it allows us to play the way we did when Dan Burn was at left back.
Yeah.
Because as Trippier goes forward, then they just move across and go to a back 3.
But I want to just go down the same path as well. I think it's you that Noni mentioned this, Bestie. As soon as, no, I think it might be you, Deck. As soon as Newcastle sign a player, you think, oh, it has to start immediately.
It does me
He's
head
the
in.
best player ever.
Does me head in.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it would be really harsh on Lewis Hall, like, to drop that left back position.
Yeah, I would Hunter Hall would definitely be in. It would be the same as what Bestie's mentioned, just except Hall.
Yeah.
For me.
Hall instead of Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Realistically, that back 4 could be completely different come the start of the season because you're going to have the benefit of pre-season, how they gel together, and that's the good thing about having that, getting him in early. And let's hope he's not the last one, is it allows you plenty of time once they get back from the Euros, get back into training. God, it's only probably 2 weeks away, 2-3 weeks away when the first teams come back to start training. Then obviously the international lads will have probably another week or 2 off after that. But you'd expect everybody to be back by mid-July at the latest, which gives them 3-4 weeks of training together as a squad.
So do you think the door still open for another defender to come in?
I think so.
I tell you what, I was just thinking there, and it's just struck us.
Would you breath again?
We've only got
three.
With him coming in as a signing, we've only got 3 centre halves, if you want to say that, with Byrne, Kelly, and Schär.
You know how saying that,
you need another one. 100%.
We've been talking about, like, obviously the talk we've had of selling Guimaraes, selling Isaac maybe, or Botman. Schär, you get a fee for Schär. I love him, but it's with amortization and all that you might get however many £1 million for him. Do you use that money to buy a younger, an equivalent centre half, but it's got a few more years in the tank?
It'll be a sad day with
I'd be gutted. I love him. I love Fabian Schär, but everyone's got that. Everyone is gonna. It's some play the last game.
I think he ultimately will be replaced. I'm just not sure now's the time to do it.
Yeah,
I think he's got at least another season. Without a doubt,
I think he's
probably
got
2.
I think he's got the quality certainly, but it's just I'm thinking whilst you get money, we've talked about Wilson and selling him. Whilst you can get money for him because of the injuries, because of the contract situation and stuff. I think Schär did just sign a new contract recently, didn't he? But just thinking out loud, and I'm not saying I want it to happen, but could it be an option when we've been talking about, like, first team as all bench players getting so, like Miggy, Murphy, Maybe it's Joe Willock, someone like that. Could Shea be one of those?
It's a funny one how he's never linked to go anywhere.
No,
Of how
It's because he's so underrated.
Massively,
he's
massively
so
underrated.
good. And especially with the modern game, if you like, where it's all about playing out from the back and stuff.
Yeah.
As a centre half, there's not many as comfortable on the ball as he is, and we've seen it for years now, right? What he can offer. So it is surprising why he's never linked for
He
anyone.
can absolutely hit a ball as well.
Oh, I did. I was watching a Switzerland game yesterday, the day before.
Yeah,
He started popping a few 40-yard. There he is.
He was
Played quite well.
He did play well, and it was funny because I was actually talking to my dad about this, and it was like some of the things he was doing were identical to what he does for us.
Yeah,
playing the long switch field balls, passes. He was dribbling from the back, like getting into ridiculous positions for a centre half, you know. But it's a funny one. I would obviously, of course, as you've said, hate for him to go. But it is a funny one that if someone came in, because again, he's playing the Euros again, another championship he's in, like you know what I mean? He's got pedigree. He's, you know what I mean? Like it's mad, isn't it?
He's played loads. He played World Cup, European Championships, Champions League. They scored that goal against PSG, obviously. Yeah. I'm thinking if someone comes in, I mean, how old is he? 32, 33? Is he quite as old as that yet?
He's getting there.
Realistically, though, is he going to go to a bigger club?
Would he have to, though? If someone came in with a bit of, I don't know what
he's
his
not going to
valuation
play in
would be.
Saudi or somewhere like that.
32-year-old.
32. So someone came in 15, 20 million pounds, which is probably more than they would do. But hypothetically, that money, the length of his contract, and all that money.
I think that a bit of that amount is going to turn heads.
I hate it happen. But I honestly think that if the right bid came in for Shea, then the goal like
it's a horrible thing. Like think of football this way, isn't it? Like no,
I hate it.
Horrible.
I hate FFPs. FFP.
Don't worry,
it's not just FFPs. Like the way ownerships are, it's ruined football. Like the Crystal Palace and Wolves new sponsors and the Standard Chartered stuff, the new stuff that came out last week.
Anything about that? We'll be apologising tweets out.
Did we have to? Oh yeah, well, allegedly the reports are true. Then lawyers, then that like, but I don't think. I mean, I'm just saying. I don't think that. I'm not saying what they are. I just don't think it's a particularly morally strong position that football clubs put themselves in these days. Us probably more than anybody else. We've seen the Athletics report on Noon last week, which didn't paint them in a particularly good light. Shall we say?
Very similar to Sports Direct. What was
that?
To
be fair,
more similar.
The warehouses.
A great deal.
And it's mad how people just completely turn it. They'll just not even. Yeah, and I'm like, it's mad. Yeah,
you've got to be critical. These people are, and again, this is all stuff that's been written in an article. I suppose we've got to be careful how we address it. But like, if something's wrong, I think and I was going to say as ambassadors of the club, not doing a podcast, as supporters, you're an ambassador of the club, and I'll be honest with you, it's made me think twice about buying the new kit because it's got the thing on the sponsor on the sleeve. And I thought if I can get it without it, I will get it without that because I don't particularly want to be parading that. When I had Wonga shirts, I've got all the Wonga shirts, but I never wear them out in public. I've never worn one on a podcast or like that because it's.
Well, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because if
poor Gillian,
the reports of what's happened with Noon, right? And I've seen lots of people defending it, right? And I'm thinking you're only saying that because they're putting money into the club, and you know what I mean, and whereas if it was Sports Direct, your opinion is they weren't, so they're the absolute devil. Yeah. But if it had been, in principle, it's the same. It's as bad as each other.
If it had been Sunderland's sponsor, if it had been, if someone happened to like invest in Africa, which it might have done, I suppose, like, but we don't know about that. But we'd have been those same people would have been the first people lining up to point the finger and all that. And I believe it's called cognitive dissonance. It's just it makes us feel really uneasy.
That's a good point.
But on the flip side of that, we're really, really good now. And it's kind of getting that balance between being over the moon with that and just not just us, like the Man City thing, PSG, ropey shirt sponsors and stuff like that. Football's horrible at the minute. Like, I love it, but it's horrible.
I think it's because
it's not football though. It's big business.
Yeah.
That's horrible because Amazon's got nothing to do with football, but they're one of the worst. So it's not plastered over the front of a football shirt. So it's not in your face.
The problem is capitalism.
I think because you need bucket loads of cash to compete. It makes you maybe make edgy decisions in order to get the money in. Yeah, you've got to because it's just the way it is, isn't it? And it is awful. I don't get it wrong, but we're the best sorts out.
I would agree. I think even but yeah, I think I would start Hull ahead of Kelly now. I think on.
Would you?
Yeah, stick up for my mate.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row. You've switched opinion mid podcast.
I mean,
what did you change last week? What was it that you changed?
There was something I did.
He changed his toothpaste
on the evidence. That's what you do on the evidence provided. You kind of you reform.
Yeah. I think he did say that actually. That's the evidence that, but I think I said something, and he went, actually,
Oh, I know. You said
Yeah,
that, you put it that way. I think Farage is all right, actually.
Whoa.
I don't want it all. No. Hey, I can't say the word, can I? But yeah, don't like him.
He's a former German international midfielder.
You've
Stefan.
you mentioned obviously the potential of players leaving. Then you mentioned Fabian. The rumors won't go away, just like we saw in January. That Miggy Mark is another one who is high on the priority list to go to Saudi Arabia. We knew last season that Miggy wasn't keen on the idea of shifting over there. What's going to happen with this one, mate?
You're right. It isn't going away, but I think it's people putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with fives, and because all of the money in football at the minute is coming out of Saudi. Like a few years ago, it was Russia, then it was China.
Yeah.
You know, that's where people were flocking to get a big payday. So we all know that there isn't a huge amount of, which is quite ironic given what we've just been talking around their sponsorship and stuff like that. But there isn't a huge amount of money within football at the minute. Well, there is. You just cannot spend it because of the
There's plenty of money
the
there.
rules that kind of are surrounding you being able to do that. So that's why logically people are looking at Saudi and looking at Miggy. I think it's a big decision for him to go over there. Obviously, we know he's got a young son, a young family to come through, but it's a hell of an opportunity from a bank account point of view to go out and do it, because the football's not the greatest of standards.
It strikes us that Miggy wouldn't want to go. You'd have to kind of trick him into going there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when Rob Lee got told that Newcastle was close at London, but you'd have to tell Miggy that, like, Saudi Arabia was just off the coast of Paraguay. He says, I
think it would take
There's a lot to be said about that as well, that he doesn't just want to go and take a big payday. You know, like other mercenaries that used to play for us that have done that.
I think mercenaries is always a...
He's just saying that.
He's trying to get a bite. He's trying to get a bite.
I think Miggy always seems to be dead happy in his football.
Yeah,
I love saying that. Like, I know he's limited and all that, and I wouldn't be. I think if he went, I think he's replaceable. But it's nice watching him play because he's a happy camper, is Miggy.
The problem is, again, is we'll have this thing where it is a difficult one, right? And I'm not going to be negative here, right? Try not to be, but we all watch a game of football, right? And sometimes, you know, whatever that will go, well, you know, in order to progress, we need to maybe get rid of him, upgrade in that area, and do this and do that. But then when we talk about selling these players, like, well, hang on a second, he tries really hard, he always smiles, he's a lovely lad, he's Baines lush. Like, it's like and I get it. We're very sentimental and we're attached to these players, right? And someone says we should sell him, and there's absolutely hell on. You know what I mean? Like, but the truth of the matter is, like, your Murphys, your Miggies, it has to happen. Wilson, as much as I like Wilson, them players have to move on in order to progress. It just
there's got to be a revolving door in the football club. There has to be where players come and go.
Now, again, I think I said last week that it doesn't have to be this summer, like. You know, it doesn't. Again, people are wanting it to be, but I still think it could be up to 3, maybe even 4 windows before we see that real overall transition. I think it'll just be placements. Honestly, I think the majority of the squad will say the same, and we'll have a few little bits that I've added, and we'll go again.
It'll be 10 years until they change the PSR bloody rules that we can do it. That's
of course it would be a different if that wasn't there. By the way.
I mean,
then my lord, it would be 11 and 11 out. And you know,
I'm not going to say that I like PSR or FFP or whichever kind of framework it is that they have to adhere to, but I think at the same time it's kind of forced them into doing kind of the structure of the club has been kind of worked on as a result of that. I think if you're building more solid foundations instead of, like, I know Chelsea have got that now because it's been so long, but you see what they spend in the transfer windows, and it doesn't really fit what Chelsea are. The club is like when Graham Potter was manager. What Graham Potter did with Brighton I don't like the word project particularly in a football sense, but it was something you'll get behind. It took a few years to kind of come to fruition and all that. Like, when it did, it started to drop off a little bit because we've lost him. Dan Ashworth's gone. De Zerbi's gone now as well, so we've lost a few of them. But we went to Chelsea, and Chelsea they want everything now. I think the English Real Madrid in that regard. For me, obviously the bit of a generous comparison, like, but. Everything they want success immediately. They don't want to wait for it. That's why Tuchel got pumped. That's why he got pumped. Conte had a bit of a wobble. He got pumped. They hated Benitez. There he is. They hated, you know, that Chelsea were never a good fit for that. And for me, the PSR thing has made them go, right, we're going to spend money. The academy needs sorting out. We'll do that. The women's team and all that. I don't say, I'm not saying that's just the only thing responsible for it, but they are kind of spending money the right way. And I do wonder that if they could say, right, we're going to spend again, hypothetically, £300 million on Kylian Mbappe, that might be to the detriment of other areas of the club that have been invested in, maybe?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I think it's a shame.
France have gone 1-up for those that listen. Back to the audio.
Austria, don't know, now, it's uncanny, haven't it?
Yeah, could have scored this Swiss, actually. Yeah, Austria.
I cast your mind back to the documentary where Staveley's quite unhappy that the rules had changed again almost just after they bought them. And she was like, I feel like, it must be frustrating for them that they would have, before buying the club, would have had these ideas and plans. Yeah. And then literally before they even got their feet in the door, something was put in the way. And then there's more stuff now put in the way. And it just, it just gets more and more difficult.
And that's what then fuels the people's conspiracy theories around that all of the rule changes are just to stop Newcastle and, fuels the cartel.
Yeah, I think that you know what it is. I'm not one to fall for these sort of conspiracies and things like that. But I think when the takeover did go through, I think it was clear as day that that's what was happening. Totally.
Well, the Man City's court action at the minute, it's much to do with the fact that the rules changed partway through a season.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
As it is the kind of the related party transactions things. I think it is specifically.
Which I still think that is the change that for us. I really do. I was listening to a lot of podcasts and a lot of them mentioned our name, saying actually, really, they probably brought it in for us, like to put Man City a sort of.
I seem to recall when the news articles about it, it was all Newcastle that was Staveley could do see,
because that was our way to get around it, Bestie. That's all that it was, like just bringing Saudi money to the football club because they own the club. That was our way around spending, and as soon as like Mark said, as soon as the first foot was through the door, was actually you can't do that now.
Yeah. Well, when they say and the whole point of FFP as it was in PSR now is meant to be, it was sold as being a safeguard, wasn't it? A protection for clubs from bad owners. Of you've got to try and strike even and all that. But then if you're preventing an owner or a related party of an owner from putting money into a club, then that surely is the antithesis of trying to, it's not a club spending beyond its means.
Lovely word.
I had a drink yesterday. It's not a club spending beyond its means. It's a club it's money going into the club that's going to swell the coffers. That goes into the foundations, as I said earlier. It goes into the kind of the behind the scenes stuff. It goes into the whole operation. It's not a club spending beyond what it's got because it's now acquired that money from. Yeah. So it feels that's totally.
It's not borrowing money to fulfill it.
It's completely anti-competitive, and I think there's a lot wrong with Man City, the 115 charges and all that. But I think they're right on this one. It feels. I forget what I was listening to now. I know I do forget. But they're saying that the rules were basically brought in to protect, and they were to protect the top four originally, as it was, because Chelsea got in, they got the money through Abramovich and all that, and then Man City did, and Man did the same thing. So they said, right, we don't want too many. It's diluting the, and so they try to shut the door, and that's what they're trying to do now. And I don't buy into the cartel thing and all that, but I do think that the rules have been set up by predominantly the top 5-6 clubs to protect their interests.
Yeah, they've been obviously pushing their weight.
And it's the same clubs that wanted to do off not so long ago.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So it speaks volumes, doesn't it? Just what's happened in the last handful of years.
Absolutely,
of course it is. There's a couple of questions in already, and one of them is from Jules has sent one in, but it's about the fixtures. But we will talk about the fixtures later on, so I will come back to your question, Jules. The first one is from Callum Lewis that says, "Do you give Sean Longstaff and Joe Willock one more season?"
I think it's a little bit harsh on Joe Willock, that, to be honest with you.
I think he's probably thinking that because of injuries.
Yeah.
He has had his fair few share of injuries over the last couple of seasons, Joe Willock. And if we're talking about Callum Wilson not being fit, then I think Joe Willock's missed a large chunk of the season.
Pretty much all of last season, he didn't play much at all. It depends. I wouldn't be in a rush to sell either of them, but I think they're both, I mentioned earlier about Shea, I think they're both in that same category where if a decent bid comes in, and that allows them to spend a bit more money in this transfer window or beyond, then I think they probably would go. But I wouldn't be in a rush to kind of pump them.
Joe Willock is very similar to Callum Wilson. I know Callum Wilson's injury record is shocking, right? But he's kind of the player where you forget how good he is. The same with Callum Wilson. When Callum Wilson he comes on the field and you think, oh, he is a great striker. And Joe Willock's exactly the same. It's just, once again, get them on that bloody field.
Yeah, I mean, he had a really bad season last year with the injuries, but there's...
And we're talking about him being rushed back. Joe Willock is the one that was rushed back.
Yeah, he had 3 games before he went off injured again, and then obviously was then out for the rest of the season. But I think, of those two, again, you shouldn't really be actively looking to sell them. But if a good offer comes in for them, that allows you to then upgrade on their position and bring in a better player, then you'd be silly not to do it if there's a good fee associated to it. But I don't think either of them are a priority for you to replace. Again, they're very good squad players to have there, be it starting or coming in from the bench.
Like I said, Joe Willock, he's better than a squad player for me. Like, I'm always impressed when I see Joe Willock. And I know obviously his injuries. Scott's mentioned it was Achilles injury, which he picked up last season. Which obviously it's not your typical muscle injury what we'll see with Callum Wilson every other month or decade. But for me, I get it with Sean Longstaff. I get it because you've got Tonali coming back, right? I get it. You've got Tonali, Bruno, Joe Linton, and Joe Willock can play in that role as well. So you've got 4 centre midfield players there at your disposal. That's not even including Longstaff. And we know you're Longstaff's biggest fan, Tech.
Yeah, listen, there's absolutely no chance would I be getting rid of Willock. I wouldn't even be entertaining the idea. Like, I think he's tremendous. And now, obviously, of course, I appreciate he's had a really bad EF injury, but Christ, if you had that attitude, you would have saw Shearer. Like, you know what I mean? When Shearer had a bad, like, sometimes you've got to almost try and think, right, okay, you've had a tough year, right? And then you bat him again. Botman's in the same boat, you know what I mean? Like, when he comes back, like, what's he going to be like? But anyway, to answer the question, I think Willock's fine. I think Longstaff, for me, I still think we could upgrade on him. That's my opinion. But having said that, I'm not so sure that a club would come in and pay what we'd be willing to sell him for. Like, you ain't going to sell him for anything less than 15, I'd say. The club wouldn't want to sell him. I mean,
I think 15 would be low as well.
Yeah, I do.
It's a market, really low.
might be.
I don't start in Premier League.
Young English midfielder. Is that English?
He's not that young, is he now? He's 27, 28.
So do you think someone's going to come and pay 25 million for Longstaff?
I don't think they will.
Of course not.
Yeah, I don't think
so. He's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, he'll be off to Saudi. There's another room at the start.
My God, he's too big.
Imagine his skin in Saudi.
He'd be just walking. He'd be sunblock all the way. Give him an umbrella or parasol.
Like one of them hats, umbrella.
It's a good job, Matt. He didn't end up over there, is it? He went to Canada. It's a lot cooler there.
Right, it is. Yeah.
I do think, though, maybe with Longstaff, that it all depends on how this year goes. But the following summer, depending on where we finish and what we're trying to do, that then might be more active of getting rid of him. Maybe. But I definitely think
Longstaff might fall in the bracket as what we've just had with the likes of Dummett. Like, if we'll get a European spot the season after, 100%. Longstaff might just show into that position where your whole
does it depend on
his squad player, innit?
Does it depend on his own attitude, though? Or a pass? Like, because basically you're saying then, well, you'll never play, mate, but you'll be part of the homegrown squad and it's lovely. Or will he be? No, I want to play.
I think he would want to play.
That's what I think. And that's his hometown club. And
he got started injuries, and then kind of the team overtook him.
Dummett was
Longstaff. I think he wants to play football.
I would think so. Yeah. I would think so. So I don't think you could ever give him that title of, well, by the way, you're the backup of the backup, mate.
Yeah,
I just don't think you want to do that. You know what I mean?
You're also leaving Miley and Anderson out of the conversation.
I didn't even mention them in the
midfield as well. So we're looking at, and it's a big boat at this point, but we're looking pretty good in the midfield.
What happens with Miley this season, no more? Does Miley stay? Does he get game time? More game time? Because you'd be shocked if he gets as much game time as what he did last season.
I don't think he's going to get as many starts, as he has this season. Anderson the same, because if everybody's fit and available, you would imagine that you go with Bruno, Tonali, and Joe as your 3. And then your cover is then essentially Longstaff, Willock, and probably Anderson ahead of Miley. So Miley's obviously that one that floats around. It would probably do him wonders to go out and have a loan.
If it's the correct loan.
But I think, if he goes to the Championship or a League One or something like that, he's playing every single game and is having a great time there, isn't he?
I think I think he goes. If he goes and stays in England, he goes to the Championship. I don't think he goes to a Premier League club, but at the same time, I think he's better than already shown that he would tear League One to bits.
I think it's a funny one because of him playing so much last season at real top level as well.
Yeah,
I kind of feel he has to go out on loan. I don't think you can just sit him playing reserve football for a season. Like, I feel he needs to be playing more competitive than that.
I think without injuries, he won't get many opportunities.
No, he won't at us. No,
we
he
just
won't.
said that he's like 7th choice.
Yeah,
I know it's not centre midfields. There's a lot of kind of caveats and facets to it, but he is 7th choice.
Yeah,
we're just that stretch this season that he played 15, 20 games, maybe something like that. Started that many games. So yeah, I think next season, if things are even a little bit more sensible,
Yeah.
He doesn't really get much football at all, which is a shame because he's good. He looks good, and I think it will bring his development on a lot. Maybe I was saying League One, I was kind of poo-pooing the idea just there, but
it made Anderson though in that season that he had down at Bristol.
He was in League Two, wasn't he? Bristol Rovers. It was the year they came up. He at that age he'll get kicked the shit in League One, and it will be a making of him.
That's the other thing. Is obviously dropping down the leagues.
One or two ways.
It's a little bit more rough and tumble, which will help them, strengthen up and get used to the more physicality of those type of games.
But would he learn more in training with the lads around the club now?
That's the opposite side of things. From a development point of view, keeping them around the first team, having them training with them all day. I think
Foden was an example of that, wasn't he?
Into it, then there's a whole host of benefits to that. That's why they brought him in originally into the first team squad. Is they recognised the fact that he was a talent, wanted to embrace that and get him involved so that they can, bring him on and keep that. And I think that to your point earlier, Bestie, is I think that's what we're trying to do as a club is looking at our youth setup and bringing in those, 20 years old and younger type of players, bringing them into the club, looking to develop them, because you then have got either somebody that can turn into a brilliant player or the ability to then move them on for some money. So
I wonder if that's, the video, the Kit Reeves video, and Shaw's on a bike, and there's all the Baines on their BMXs. And that's all the lads he's getting on loan.
Academy,
that's all the new kids.
The academy,
Lads getting Apple doing it.
I think Anderson's you're talking about Miley, like we all appreciate he's one for the future utterly. You know what I mean? Whereas Anderson, this has to be a season where he's been struggling a little bit with injury. I'm a big fan of his, by the way.
Too,
I just think he'll probably be himself looking at this season, get himself prepared in the summer and then try and really make a difference this season try and break in. I
think that's what last season was meant to be for Anderson.
It was, I think it was, but he got hurt, didn't he?
He broke his back as well, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
So it's like
he's desperate for a goal.
Yeah, it's a big season from
score for us. Outfield player, obviously.
Did Kraft get a goal?
No. He might have done. I don't know.
Sure, he did.
Did Kraft not score against?
Anderson was the only.
Yeah, he did. Anderson, I think Anderson was one of your only regular starting 11 players that didn't get a goal in all competitions.
Because he was the one that people were kind of hanging their hat on to break the record, wasn't it? Towards the end of the season.
Yeah. Let's move over to England. Okay, we spoke about Newcastle now, but obviously England played their first game in the Euro 24 yesterday, and it was against Serbia. Mitro's back. I saw Mitro, as handsome as ever.
Shite as ever as well.
He looked like he had an extra yard of pace. Getting off the pitch when he was substituted.
But yeah, we saw the England game, and Gordon didn't feature. We knew he wasn't in the starting 11, Bestie, which we had a bit of a discussion last week about if he would be starting. And I think you lads said that the team which Southgate named yesterday was you were correct in saying that. But Foden was on the left-hand side, Saka was on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Were you shocked that Gordon didn't get any game time whatsoever? Because at parts of that game, it was screaming out for somebody on that left-hand side.
No, I wasn't surprised. I think I really like Phil Foden. He has had a bit of poor form. I mean, right at the end of the season, he was bad in the cup final. Poor in the Iceland friendly a couple of weeks ago. He was pretty poor again last night. I thought he doesn't. It's the age-old thing with England. We did it with. I was talking at work today about it. Steven Gerrard in 2010 will put him on the left-hand side just to accommodate Lampard, I think, Scholes at the time when Capello. And Gerrard didn't have the discipline. He kept on coming inside and trying to chase the ball. There was a point where Foden picked the ball up from the edge of his own penalty box yesterday got it from Pickford. And that's not what you need a left winger to be doing. And Foden, he was that desperate to get involved in the game and he couldn't. I mean, this was I think it was in the second half. I wasn't surprised. I think Gordon or Eze even would have made a difference had to come on in place of Gordon. I thought changing Saka for Bowen. I didn't really get that. I didn't think Bowen did badly, but I don't think it was the right.
Saka had a poor second half.
I think it was more of a fitness thing. I think the commentators highlighted to Saka was struggling for fitness.
I thought taking Trent off
didn't stop him with the other bloody. At least two other players on the England side that were absolutely blowing out the arses.
I thought taking Trent off for Gallagher was the right move. It should have been done in the first minute, probably, but
ridiculous playing him centre midfielder.
He's not a centre midfielder.
Ridiculous.
I was talking to someone at work or someone in the bar last night, and I was saying, I was with mate Darren in the bar. He's red and white, so he's not be watching. He said, apparently the plan is when we're playing against a team that we're expected to have a lot of the ball against, You get Trent playing there. If you play like a France or a Holland, someone where we're going to be backs to the wall, it'll be Gallagher because he's just more reliable defensively. But I don't think, again, I think with Alexander-Arnold, you're trying to play him there. He doesn't play for Liverpool.
Well, for Liverpool, Klopp's
He's played a couple of games there.
but not.
But he's a fullback who he cuts inside.
That's what it is. He's playing it inside, so he'll start at right back, but he will come into centre midfield. But it's different doing that than when you're asking him to play centre midfield. He's coming in. He comes inside into centre midfield for Liverpool at different opportunities in the game at different times. You know what I mean? The amount of times he got caught on the ball.
He's not angered in that position.
Do you know what I mean?
He picks it up at right back and drives it.
He drives in that midfield, or you'll.
Well, I don't dislike Trent, but I just don't.
No,
I
don't.
He's
not a
fit there.
midfielder.
Same as Foden's not a left midfielder.
It didn't work when he played the St James's Park in the middle of the stadium pitch ground. I didn't want to say park twice. That was what it was.
But no, it doesn't work. I think I would like with how direct Gordon and Eze are, and given that they are naturally wingers, so they'll have the discipline nearly to stick to that kind of that job on that side, and then it's the whole shape of the team. I made the point about talking about Wayne Rooney. I loved Rooney for England, but the amount of times he will come really deep to chase the ball, and then when he's got it, there's nothing ahead of him because that's where he should be.
Which is irony, is exactly what Meat Row was doing. The amount of times that he was on the halfway line and in the centre circle was.
And I'll caveat that towards the end of the game, Harry Kane did it a couple of times, but he did it. He came deep and he took the sting out of the game. He won free kicks. He just won the ball. He was strong and big, and it was a good. I thought Harry Kane was probably only touched the ball twice in the first half. I thought the second half he I'm not saying he was the reason that they won, but he certainly helped him get over the line. I thought it was excellent. What he was doing in last 20 minutes or so, he did really well.
Who was?
Kane.
Yeah, I thought he was non-existent for a long part of the game. But it doesn't look fit to me.
He touched the ball twice in the first half.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
but again, that comes from the way that the team was set up and how the midfield were playing, because there was no balls coming into them or going, or when we were drive, everything was going through Saka down that right hand side, which is probably why Foden was quiet, or Bellingham. To keep you happy, was picking the ball up in the middle of the pitch.
I wouldn't even say
that's his name.
I wouldn't even say the middle. I mean, Bellingham,
he's phenomenal.
They're saying he's a number 10, but I mean, you're talking absolute free role here.
He plays number 10 for Real.
He was picking it up in the penalty box, taking people on. He picked up a left back a few times. I've seen literally wherever you want to go, just do whatever you want to do. That's what he was doing.
He was like a dad, playing with loads of bends in the first half.
Yeah,
he just the goal. He absolutely bullies their centre half for the goal. It's a wonderful header.
Brave header, I thought as well.
Very brave, yeah.
Brave header,
He got a few whacks as well. He got a few elbows to the heat.
They were filthy, weren't they?
Yeah,
that's what they're going to
get. And fouling the entire
I thought what was funny for them is, and I know we've just touched on Mitro there, but they didn't put a single cross in the box the first half.
No.
He went off. They couldn't stop crossing it.
No.
I'm like, are you insane here?
That's what we used to do.
They put some beautiful crosses in the second half.
Bring Dwight Gale on and stop putting.
Honestly,
we used to do exactly the same.
I was laughing me off watching it going. There's another lovely cross near in the box, and they took him off.
But they've got a good side. Then you got Tadic, Milinkovic, Savic. Obviously,
he was good
as well. But
Tadic didn't start with it because he wasn't.
He was on the bench.
I was impressed as the game went on, but I think it was probably a bit of what England typically do in the Southgate at times, where they'll just tend to disappear in games.
Yeah.
Well, I think
the second half wasn't great.
I think we got a bit nervous. I think collectively got nervous that we couldn't find the second goal, and it's a difficult one for players and management. Do you try and get the second goal and kill the game off? But then obviously you're vulnerable if we try and push for that second goal and we get caught. And I think you end up, and I think a lot of them you could see were just struggling with shit. Do we just try and take the sting out of the game completely? But then we're really up for it the second half, I thought.
I think
so aggressive.
There's been a lot of talk about today, the stuff I've read about how poor they were in the second half and how it's Southgate's game plan. Their keeper makes a phenomenal save from Harry Kane.
Yeah.
He does.
That's as good as Courtois' save in the Belgian game. That's a really, really good save, that.
But I could be wrong, but I felt that was the only time he touched the ball.
Kane?
No, the keeper.
He didn't have a great deal to do at all. But then
that's
with a 2-0 win.
When you think of the team, we've got Bellingham, Foden, Kane, Saka. He does two shots, two teams.
2-0 win against what is the second best team in the group. Most like Denmark didn't look great against them. It's not Slovakia. No, it's Slovenia. I think that the conversation is totally different. The margins are so minuscule that if their keeper doesn't get if their keeper doesn't push on the crossbar and it comes out, if that goes in, going 2-0. We'll just sit on this now. It's fine.
Yeah, Walker should have shot before that as well.
I thought he had it, and then looked at it. It looks like he does try and pull it across the 6-yard box, doesn't he?
I thought we defended well. I still worry that I think we'll get found out defensively in the end.
I think Stones and Gay played well.
You did? No, they really
He
did.
surprised us.
Stones looked like the first thing Stones did was lose the ball.
Yeah, he did.
But he did really
There was
well,
a few great defensive headers because then put in some, as I say, some really dangerous crosses in the second half. And I did think we were going to concede, to be fair, as the game went on. That's how I felt. But we didn't. And you've getting the win. He's got to, it's always one of them you don't want to peak too early, do you? You want to try and progress, just gradually improve. But I don't feel have enough.
Sticking with the defence, Decker. What do you think of Trips? Because I thought Trips, his experience showed there. Playing at left back, I thought he had a great game.
I thought he was great. I think that the problem we've got in terms of an attacking sense is we're not as fluid on that side because he has to come back.
He's got to use his right, hasn't he? Yeah.
If he was, and it's nothing against Trippier at all, it's not his fault. But if he was a left footer, you would find that the link-up play and the overall fluidity down that left-hand side would be a lot easier.
You might get constantly out there as well because he's going to be getting the ball more naturally instead of
like an overlap.
But
I think even Trippier at left back, if you've got Eze or particularly Gordon in front of him on that left-hand side, you would have had a completely different show down there.
Why I didn't get it, and yes, people might think, Newcastle fan being biased, Gordon coming on, yes, he gives you that outlet on the counter-attack going forward. Probably not just the counter-attack. He creates his own space and he drives out our defences. But his work rate coming back as well. That's great for Gordon as well. So, yes, let's say the game does turn slightly and we'll have to defend a little bit.
Well,
Gordon's perfect at doing
that. In the second half, it was crying out for... Like, in the first half, Saka was involved in everything. He had the beating of two players.
Yeah.
They pulled one off and he had to be replaced. He then tortured the second one. Albeit second half, he was much improved and Saka kind of disappeared from the game, which that's when you need somebody on the left-hand side to be picking that up. But as we've already said, Foden was very rarely staying out on the left. He was trying to get involved in the middle. He was wanting to be in their number 10 positions and being there, whereas had Gordon been there, because he is constantly up and down the flank. But again, as soon we know fine well that as soon as he gets the ball, bang, he's away.
Yeah.
He'll get down that line, then he'll drive inside, he'll look for a cross into the middle. He would be picking up somebody out around the edge of the box where Bellingham was hanging around ready to put one in, or Kane's floating around there. Eze will do the same thing. He loves to attack and get at them. He probably isn't as defensively or positionally as good as what Gordon is down that side. Mm-hmm. But either of them have got to be a massive, massive improvement over Foden. Go and stick. We've seen Saka was blown out of his arse. Go and stick Foden on the right-hand side where he's much more capable and much more used to playing.
Yeah, that's what I thought he would have done. Because I think a couple of things. I think if we had a left back who was, say, Luke Shaw. Let's say Luke Shaw was completely fit, right? Foden drifting into the centre isn't as bad because Shaw can just go down the line, and it all of a sudden you create overloads in the other areas of the field by that. But the problem is with Trippier is really he's kind of looking for someone down the line because he can't. It's just, you know what I mean? He can't really, not like on the right-hand side, so natural to just carry it down the line. But with Foden, I felt it was as if even Southgate knew he was struggling, and he's almost shown faith in him to keep him on as long as he could for a glimpse of something to give him confidence, rather than haul him off after an hour and maybe lose any confidence, because he has struggled. This is what people seemingly forget. He didn't end the season very well. I know you've mentioned it, Bessie, and I've said this a few times today. He was terrible in the cup final. He wasn't very good in the league. He had a fantastic season. It was just the back end, and I kept thinking, he's almost losing form as the Euros are coming along.
Yeah.
Listen, I hope he finds it, but I agree with what Mark's saying. Like, for me, without the ball, Gordon would have worked back, but it would have been great for Trippier to knock it down the line, and Gordon would have turned and went. You know what I mean?
Does it change, Decker, for the next game? Does it change?
I don't think it does.
Well, other than the one that you've said of Gallagher and
for Trent. I think he'll keep Trent in. Against Denmark, I think he'll keep Trent in.
I think it'll be exactly the same. Yeah?
I do.
I don't know, because Denmark are a bit more technical in the middle of the park than...
They play two up top as well, don't they?
Yeah.
I think it'll be,
maybe, but
I think we will see Gordon, though. I definitely think he'll come off.
Do you think it's going to be one of those tournaments where you'll see a player just get a bit of a run out once? Let's say we'll win the next game, right? It's done, right? Do you think Gordon starts the next one?
100%.
Then let's say Gordon has a great performance, go back to the knockout stages, then just go reverts to back how it was originally. That's my worry.
That seems most likely to me as well. Yeah. That's why you might see like Lewis Dunk getting a game against Slovenia. If they beat Denmark on Thursday, you'll see Dunk, probably Gordon, Ollie Watkins.
And that makes sense because Stones hasn't played much at all, so he probably doesn't want to have to play 3 games in a row.
I think he could
actually, to be honest.
That might be the game he looks like Luke Shaw.
Because Shaw's not fully
if
fit.
Luke
Is he?
Shaw's fit, he starts at left.
Yeah,
back.
but he's not played for like
Nah, he
he's
hasn't.
half the season, hasn't he?
And that's what's again. Let's say he hasn't played for half the season, right? And you bring him in, say in the knockout stage, his first game back.
Yeah,
It's
He's
difficult
gotta
to
play
pick
the
up the
third-
pace,
If
right?
he's
And
fit,
come
he
back.
plays a third game for me. Like,
Yeah, I think so.
I think
at
even-
least half of it, at least some of
Yeah.
it, to see what he's got. Is he fit enough? How's he feeling? Type of thing. You know?
the caveat is if they beat Denmark, he plays a third game. If
Yeah.
they need a result in the third
Of
game,
course.
you might still see Trippier there. But you'd like to think he'll be taken care of by that point, like because Denmark and Slovenia wasn't a good game.
Nah,
I think Kane would be rested, for example, as well, because he hasn't played
Mm.
much. He's been through an injury. So you
Yeah.
see Watkins again, and if we win the second game, which doesn't we're more than capable of doing. You
I
know
think
what
it
I
should beat them.
Yeah.
Speaking of Denmark, it was nice to see Ericsson score though.
It was
That was kind of
Yeah, it
written in
was.
the stars, wasn't it?
was.
Yeah, because it was Euros 3
Was
years
it?
ago. He had his was it
Unbelievable.
cardiac arrest that he had?
Yeah, it was.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a
That
lovely finish as
lovely
well,
touch.
wasn't
Was
it?
it
touch
his
was
last
beautiful.
involvement, and then his first involvement is to
That was
come
a
on
lovely
and
finish.
score.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Lovely
Yeah, it
finish.
Nice
Um,
little fairy tale.
I'm going to go through a couple of questions. If anybody does have any more questions, send them our way as quick as possible. We've got another 10 minutes to the left of the show. So the first one, guess who it's from? Josh Stockton, as always. Josh sends in a donation. He isn't watching at the minute. He has logged out, but he's going to catch up later. He says, it is about the Euros as well. He says, if Big Sam was in charge of our last two tournaments as planned, how do you think we would have done? Maybe controversial, but I think we see how both games are versus Croatia and Italy with him head and shoulders above Southgate tactically, in my opinion.
I'll give him his money back. Money back's a load of shit.
You have
That's
put your
a load
name
of
on the
shit.
line there.
You spoiled it by that last word, tactically.
But no, the thing with Allardyce was technically he was quite astute because he played. It was numbers. He played percentages, didn't he? He was quite ahead of his time in that, really.
He was the one that got the little TV monitors placed in St James's
That's right.
Park
That's
as well.
taken away didn't it, after a few
Yeah,
weeks. So
that was, for ages were still the TVs weren't there, but the wood that they were stuck
the-
on was,
like the
it was just a plank of wood.
He only got them put in so that he could stay in his seat for longer and make sure he had his bait.
Do you reckon he had like
Before
Bet365
going
on
in
him
the
and stuff like the few? Like,
It is a much better view though if you're a manager. Really,
I've never
I
understood why managers don't sit at the very back.
Yeah, like if you sat there, you've got such a great view tactically of what's going on. I understand why you want to be close to be shouting at them.
Did McLaren do it for a little while? Where he
Yeah.
used to do half a match in the stands and come down for
He
us.
did, yeah.
He did.
That was the
didn't he?
famous one. He's banging the phone because he was trying to get a message to the bench and it wasn't
Yeah.
working.
I-
Ashley probably didn't pay their phone bill. It didn't work.
To answer Josh's question, I think maybe Allardyce would have seen the games out against Croatia and Italy. I don't think we would have got to those matches though.
Yeah.
With Allardyce in charge.
Can we just discuss how Allardyce fell for that?
You know.
Like that sting. Like what an idiot.
Because he's greedy.
Because he's
That's
had
why.
a fucking pint
'Cause
of
he's
wine. That's
greedy.
why.
Yeah,
Like
pint of gravy.
Hey, Johnny Depp.
Yeah. It was mental, wasn't it? Just mental. Aye. It's mad that even them things go on though. Like you know what I mean? Like
The fake
The
shit.
fake shake. But it was like when they got Douglas Hall and Freddie Shepherd, like
Was it Malaga, wasn't it?
25 years ago. Like it's
Yeah.
still the same pattern. That's 27 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like
It's greed.
Oh,
It's
it is.
greed.
Aye.
Money does strange
It's
things to people.
mental.
He managed one game for England. And
Was it friendly?
No, it was a qualifier because
Right.
it was 2016 after Hodgson got pumped after the Euros.
I tell you what's mad, right? In a weird, massive, funny way, because he was manager at Sunderland at the time.
It was hilarious.
And to be fair, I did well because he kept them up when we went down, right?
Oh, yeah,
And
2016,
And then
yeah.
Hodgson got battered. Obviously, he went. Then that, led Big Sam to go
Yeah.
to England, and he had
Yeah.
one game.
Yeah.
And then
He
obviously
went on a pint of wine.
Has he managed since?
that whole thing was just mad,
I
wasn't it?
don't think so.
Did he not
does
go to-
podcast now, doesn't he?
Is he?
No, he definitely did manage somewhere.
He go like India or something.
No,
Yeah, he did. I went like Kerala Blast or
Yeah.
something like that, didn't
I thought he
Talk-
came
talk
back.
amongst yourselves. I'll see if he did go anywhere. I'm not so sure he went somewhere else.
He's
he?
in,
Did you see that? It's
he's in
some.
Qatar or Kuwait or somewhere now.
It's like influencers type of team.
somewhere
It's
like that.
weird. The
No,
Stephen Taylor
he
thing.
went to somewhere to try and keep them up again, and it didn't work. He had that famous thing of
Was
like,
it Palace? No, it wasn't.
No.
Down West Brom
yes, I think it might be in West Brom. Did he go there?
Oh, you might be right. Yeah, I remember.
because he did. He took them down.
Didn't we beat them when we went and he put us down the stairs? Was he not manager then in the FA Cup?
was that
game?
just last game before lockdown? That wasn't it?
Maybe.
Aye, I think so.
Nah, he wasn't manager then, was,
Was he not? No.
'Cause they
I
don't-
thought he was.
they,
That's only-
they were already relegated
That's
then.
like 4 years after.
Oh, they
yeah,
were
so
already
yeah,
relegated.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a fair
Yeah,
comment.
yeah.
That's a fair
I think he did go and take them down. Yeah,
Yeah, I
'Cause
think he did. That was the one
It's
winner
ringing a
because
bell
yeah,
now,
I've
actually.
always kept every team up. Blah blah blah.
Aye.
But I think tactically, what I'll say on that one, and it is what that final is the one for me that'll, we're at home, we're at Wembley, we're 1-0 up. I still don't think Italy were very good. I mean, they didn't even qualify for the next competition. They were a poor side,
Yeah, so like
and
so
we're
like
just sat off. And I think if there's ever a time we scored so early in the game,
really early. First minute, first 3 minutes.
You've got to, you know what I mean. And I just felt we got the first goal. I wouldn't say shit ourselves necessarily. We didn't do a Rory McIlroy.
I thought the first half they played really well.
Oh, we did, yeah. But I felt against them actually
very much like last night.
Similar to last night in regards to
you could see it going the same way.
You haven't got that second goal in the.
I'm going to take it back to Allardyce a second.
Everton.
You are going to be so surprised. He went in loads of clubs afterwards.
Did he go to Everton?
So he was at England, right? Then after England, if this is correct, he went to Palace. Right?
It was definitely Palace.
Yeah.
So he went to Palace. Then he went to Everton.
Everton.
Then he went to West Brom.
Yeah.
Then he's been to Leeds.
Leeds
as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, must be before Bielsa.
Leeds.
On 3rd of May 2023, Allardyce was appointed as manager of Premier League.
Oh, of
club
course.
Leeds
He went
United
after
following the
Bielsa,
dismissal
didn't he? When
of
Bielsa got
Gracia.
sacked and he went in to try and keep them up.
2023. No, that'll be after Jesse
There's
Marsh.
4 matches.
Him. Aye.
Yeah.
There's 4
American
matches
one.
left.
Yeah.
Of the
That's
season.
right.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was
totally
Leeds.
forgot about that.
Oh, it
yeah.
was Leeds.
Because
Was that
they
the
were
first time he got
Yeah.
relegated with somebody? or
They were
something
giving
like
him
that?
a huge bonus if he kept them up, like
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't happen. But, Jesus,
Leeds
yeah.
it was.
Totally
Yeah.
forgot about that. That
He
guy.
spent 30 days at Leeds.
Nearly as long as
It's
him.
enough, isn't it?
It was Jesse Marsh.
Yeah, Jesse Marsh. He got sacked late in the season.
Oh well, but yeah.
But I think the parallels on Southgate for last night, and then that final, it just I don't know, it just seems so apparent. It's so similar. You know?
Things in that final, the goal that he scored was so lucky.
Oh, I
Like it's a scrap. Pickford makes a wonderful save, like,
Yeah.
to tip him at the post where he does from where it came from and stuff.
Mhm.
And it just happened. Was it Bonucci who scored?
Yeah.
And it just happened to get a fault him. It's like I go on then.
Yeah.
And then
you know it is margins because
But play to your strengths and
well, yeah, that's my criticism of Southgate. I like Southgate. I think he's been a great manager for England. I really do. But yeah, he's a bit too conservative, and with the squad he's got now, it's not the most internationally experienced defensively. When you look at Mark Gay at centre half, I mean, Kyle, I haven't said that Walker Trippier.
There's a few, mate. It's
And
only
John
him.
Stones can all do a job. Like so,
The problem
and they've all
that's
done a job. Over the years.
it's a funny thing because the problem you've got is I think everyone, and including himself, and defensively we're not great, right? I don't think we are personally.
I think
right?
we really miss Harry Maguire. I think
I agree.
that'll
No,
be,
absolutely
that'll
agree.
be what does for in the end.
And everyone, loads of people now. Well, if we've got a poor defense, we've got to attack. We've got a really attacking team. We've got to go for it. I think Southgate will 100% think the opposite.
Yeah.
He'll think, hang on, my
Protect
defense
the
is
defence.
shite. We've got to protect them.
We've got
And
to
I
keep
can
the ball-
understand
keep the ball
that.
as much as
And I
possible.
can
Yeah, yeah.
understand that, and so it might work, that way,
But having said that, though, we've probably got, if not arguably, probably the best squad, I would say, if you're looking at
it's
overall
unbelievable,
talent.
I think the best,
Unbelievable.
the forwards and midfielders.
Like you have to use that to your advantage. Like,
Oh no, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Now, it's a funny one, isn't it? Right, because I'm telling you now, right, the same people who are banging this drum about we've got to attack. If we're 2 or 3-0 down, they'll be going. He's tackle hasn't got a clue. Him. I'm telling you now, they'll be hiding mud
But
at
if
the
you play
telly.
the back 4 and 2 holding midfielders, surely that's enough people to leave there protecting you at the back to allow
Not one of them's Trent Alexander-Arnold.
the ones in front to just get at them.
we haven't even
I
mentioned,
agree.
We haven't even mentioned Rice. I thought Rice was great as well.
He's class, man.
Yeah,
I
I
love him.
funny. I like him a lot, mate. Like,
Amazing.
he's excellent.
What a player, man.
Yeah.
What mops just the protection he gives that back four. He just mops everything up. He's really clever on the ball, like quick, a very quick. He's fantastic.
He's a bit
Wonderful.
like Bellingham in that. I don't think that's quite his best position, but he's so good at it.
No, it's funny you say that. Actually, I think he is better. I think he's. I thought he was just a holding midfielder, but
Yeah.
I think last season goes to prove that he's probably better as an 8.
Yeah.
Probably better as
I
an
think
8.
Bellingham's he plays a 10. I think Bellingham's probably about the same.
Yeah.
But they're both that good. Like, you can play Bellingham deeper than he does for Real. I think he's probably a little bit better at it.
Yeah, I agree.
But he's so good at number 10. He's the best player in the world, Bellingham. And you know what I really like about him is that he knows he is.
He doesn't let it get to his head, though. He's very,
I
very
love
modest.
watching because he's so
Speaks outstandingly well
brilliant.
as well.
But he's probably not quite as good as he thinks he is. But I still honestly think he's the best player in the world. But he's
I think
that good that
yeah.
he's like it's incredible to watch.
He's
him.
got that edge about him,
As
hasn't
a
he?
young lad, like
Like chip on his shoulder sort of thing.
When
Like,
Harry
he's
Kane
played
missed that
football.
penalty against France in the quarters of the World Cup, it was Bellingham that went over, and Bellingham's
Aye.
a boy.
Yeah.
I don't. He might not even be 18 yet. He's one who went over at Harry Kane and says, "Oh, look, yeah, chin up and all that." Again.
Well, you probably might not have on the overlap that had Solskjaer on. It was a while ago now,
Oh, no, I'm not. I hate him.
and they mentioned to try to sign him. Solskjaer, we met him and he says, I didn't realise this. Keane was fuming about this part, but he said, we'll bring out all the big guns, Solskjaer says. I must have said it, didn't he? Let's say it again.
Sorry, once again, those
Is that
audios.
Mbappe?
Mbappe has absolutely missed a sitter.
Oh, yeah.
Not even on target.
That is a
It's all right, you'll get a penalty soon.
little, watch out, little. So he,
Doesn't bend it.
they brought out Alex Ferguson. They trotted him out. They trotted someone else out, Cantona, and someone else to meet him, like in this training ground. And Roy Keane was fuming, going like, and right, he was by no going, it's only because I didn't invite you, Roy. And he went, no, like, why is Ferguson getting involved? Why is Cantona there? But anyway, Solskjaer says Bellingham, it was 18 at the time, it would have been. He said he was the most forward thinking, like, person he's ever spoken to. Like, as a kid, he was expecting him to be overawed by Ferguson and that being there. Like, and he says, just how many minutes am I playing? He was telling them, this is how many minutes I need to play. And Solskjaer, like, well, you're 18-year-old, I can't guarantee that. He says, oh, well, that's no good, then I'll go somewhere else.
Well, someone else,
Birmingham, thank you.
Listen, David Moyes had a signing wrapped up and ready to go. And then, it was Tony Cruz. When he went to Real, I think it was on one of the Euro shows where Moyes says, oh, yeah, well, I went and said, get Tony Cruz. And I says, right, he's going to be a Man U player. And I got sacked, it all fell through, went to Real Madrid, and he's had the career he's had there instead. That's unlucky.
But I was listening to his interview after the game about his celebration. He was taking the game mask off. And he was on about that was for the staff and stuff. And he was saying, like, I don't know how, I didn't quite catch exactly the meaning behind it, but he said it was for the backroom staff and all the great work them doing. We're trying to create this, and I just feel he'll be captain within not long. Like, I know Kane is at the minute, and that's all well and good, but you can just tell, can't you? He is just an utter leader on and off the field. Like,
totally, you can see why, because it was mental at the time that when he left Birmingham,
they retired his number,
and all of these kids. And you're thinking, I don't know, he's been there 5 minutes. He's a young kid, and
I still think that's mad, man.
That is mental.
It's mad, but it's just obviously the impact that he had on the club at that time. From then going to Dortmund, have the career that he had there, now end up at Real, winning the lot.
Do you think that
the best player in the world? I was discussing this
because I was trying to explain to all us, like, how Bellingham was probably one of the only players that's done that, where he spent the majority of his career now overseas.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be very hard for him to come back to the Premier League because people just physically can't afford him now?
Saudis can.
Well, we can't afford him. Not we're spending.
I think the problem you've got when you go up a club like Real Madrid, like the only way is down, if I'm being honest. Like, and I appreciate people who go, well, Man City, when you're at Real Madrid, you can't leave. Like, I mean, and if you do, he would, I think anyway, either something goes seriously wrong, that he falls out with someone, or something like that, like Bale did, but then Bale returned anyway. But anyway, or it's really late on in his career when he's obviously older. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was trying to think, is there another English player? I appreciate you played for Birmingham. I get that. But then hasn't played in the Premier League, but's played for his country. He's never played in the Premier League.
That's a good question.
Like, has there ever been another player that's done that?
Did Hargreaves do it before he signed for Man United?
Yeah, he did, because he was a Bayern Munich.
He was a Bayern, yeah.
So Hargreaves was one. Yeah, good shout.
Good shout.
Yeah, good shout. Eric Dyer, was it? Oh, he was, because he was at Sporting Lisbon, but I think he'd gone to Spurs by the time he went debut. Yeah.
But which is
it's a good man.
We were talking about last night.
Steve Bull was at Wolves. Didn't never played in top flight for at all, I believe. But he played for England in the 1990 World Cup.
Yeah,
it's pre-Premier League, but it's kind of the same thing. He's never played in top flight.
Certainly been as inspirational as what he is as well.
See, I could see
Steve Bull
taking your point there about Bellingham and going to different. I'm calling him that all the time now because
his name
annoyed us.
What did you want to call him, mate?
Bellingham.
He's gone.
Bellingham. I could potentially see him being more like Ronaldo, of wanting to Cristiano going to
all the leagues,
clubs in different leagues, to prove himself and win more things in different places. I take your point of Real Madrid. If you go into the biggest clubs in the world, it's Madrid and Barcelona, regardless of how much success.
Zlatan done similar as well, didn't he?
They're having.
Yeah, he did. Zlatan did that.
If he's then got the opportunity,
do you think he may go to Italy?
Go to Italy, go and play.
I get what
one of the Milan teams or Juventus or Juve or something like that.
So what was? If we look at Ronaldo, because it's a great example. So his career path obviously was Lisbon, then went to Man United, then Man U to Real, then Real to Juventus,
Juve.
Then where did he go after that?
Came back, didn't he?
He came back to Man U,
France.
Of course, he went to Man U. He ended up going to France, did he?
No, I don't think he went to France.
No, I don't think so.
Beckham did. Beckham went to PSG.
Beckham done them all.
Yeah,
Beckham did all of them.
But I don't think he skipped France. Then he came back to Man United. Then went to Saudi, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he went to Saudi from Man U.
No, he was he not in America for a bit? Have I made that up?
I don't think so.
No, Messi was, but no.
Messi's Suarez is there now, or was Suarez?
No, he must have done America. He went to Saudi. He went the Saudi way instead of the States.
No, he must have went somewhere after Man United second.
I don't
think he did.
I don't think he did.
Don't think he did. Somebody will tell me.
But even then, when Beckham went to Juventus, he's in his 30s by that point. So he's had the vast majority of his career at Man United and
Real wasn't it really? Was his
Real was the one like that.
Yeah.
But it's really like I said though, to leave Real.
Ronaldo's not allowed to go to America, is he? Because of the
Allegedly.
allegations.
Allegedly.
So,
oh no, he's not allowed.
allegations, but
what's safe?
Real, like I mentioned, leaving Real Madrid to go to somewhere else is hard unless you're probably towards the end of your career. Is very similar to what Ronaldo done, really.
Yeah. But as I say, unless you're doing it for career reasons of wanting to test yourself in other leagues and win stuff in other leagues.
I'd like to see him in the Premier League. I'd like him to play for Newcastle.
I think he will. I think at some point he'd come back.
Do you reckon that'll be a few years' time? That could be the point at which we are ready to kind of. We might have won a league or two by then.
He did go to Al-Nassr from Man United.
Yeah,
but
where'd he go? To Saudi.
Yes, he did. Yeah. I absolutely hate this top trumps moment, and whenever you talk about one of them, the other one has to get mad. I hate it. Honestly,
yeah, I know what you mean.
It's one of the.
I agree. Yeah.
You know, when he talks bad about Maxi, I get the same anger when I talk about Ronaldo. Say just in general, yeah, and bang,
people can't just appreciate them both.
Oh
There's got to be a competition between the
this
two.
guy, man, is I will never probably see the likes of him again, man. In terms of what he's
Ronaldo.
what I like when you think he's 39-year-old, he's still banging the drum. Yeah,
I hated him as a young player.
No, I get it
because he was a knobhead, but
I still
career-wise and everything like that, I think
I understand why people don't like him, but you can't. You can't. I mean, the guy's unbelievable.
From him, like.
And I just want to start there. He says he's one of the few players to have made 1,200 professional career appearances, and he scored 890 official senior career goals.
He's unbelievable. He's absolutely unbelievable. and that's the problem, because if it isn't for the other fella,
I agree.
He's 100% without a doubt the greatest player in the world.
But yeah, you have to take your hat off to him and give him credit for doing the rounds around the leagues. Like,
see,
and that's what elevates him for me.
Yeah.
Like
to have the hunger, the desire and the hunger to want to keep. How many players?
He's 48-year-old and he's still playing professional football.
I mean,
and he looks 21.
I don't want to body shame anyone, but obviously the things are Rooney's the same age. And I mean, I was watching the overlap. I don't know if you've seen it with Neville with the Euro conversation.
I will do.
He's sitting on he's sitting on the sofa. I just could not believe what I was saying. Yeah. Like honestly, like kite out the whole 9 yards.
I really like him.
Fair play. But then you see Ronaldo.
Imagine what he's going to be after a year at Plymouth with all them pasties. Cream teas and pasties every day.
The backbone for Gintas.
I mean, listen, Rooney could run 24 hours a day. Every day and wouldn't look like Ronaldo. That's just his genetics, just what it is. Right? I get all that.
Right? When he was 16, he looked 25, didn't he?
Rooney was special as well, like, to be fair. But but Ronnie, like, he's still turning up there. I mean, I think how many years has it been now? Then that because it was the first one he was at Euro 2004. 4. Yeah, hell, man. Like it's ridiculous. 20 years.
Mental, man.
That is like.
I think have they qualified for every tournament in that time? So that'll be 20 years. 5 World Cups, so it's his 10th tournament, if that's the case. 11th.
It's ridiculous, man.
It's absurd, like.
And again, I'll come back to hunger, like in terms of getting up and being the last. Like there was footage of him last. I was the last one out of the gym, still working.
No.
Over in Saudi, where let's be fair, anyone cares.
Must be such a boring bastard.
Oh no doubt about it. I'm not. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Have you seen his lass?
Nah, he's boring as out.
He's ex-lass. I read a book about him. Right, he's not the lass he's with now. Another lass said we didn't work out because of his regime that he had during the day, right? And he went and got fully
spray tan.
Not spray tan, body with like cream in that. Like he got like he put full cream on his body like 3 times a day in that. So it was like 12 o'clock and he was like, I can't go for lunch.
Is that why he's so shiny?
Because I have to go and get all creamed up.
The documentary with him and stuff like that, where it goes through like his daily stuff of like he wakes up at something stupid like 4 o'clock in the morning. He'll get up and he'll have something to eat, then he'll train for 2 hours. Then he'll have a nap.
I don't think this
then
is
he'll take his vitamins.
That was Greg Wallace, man.
That was brilliant.
That was hilarious.
I do think a lot of players go to sleep and I don't like in the middle of the day.
And he has like a nap on the afternoon and that, but he literally his whole body he takes like blood all of the time so he can see what vitamins he needs to take to keep himself in perfect condition. Like
he has got somebody on him.
He just trains 3-4 times a day. Like
he's never had a kebab before, man. What a sad life.
Alcohol.
He's not had garlic dip, has he?
Never ever had a garlic dip from Gills. No.
I had a
best his breath has today.
I had a few pints at a bolognese pizza stuffed crust last night. I wouldn't swap my life for Ronaldo's.
I wouldn't. I was getting paid 20 grand a second.
I tell you a quick one. I went to Big Fish on Friday. I think you might have seen the photo right with the kids. Obviously the garlic's from there, right?
Sorry, that Big Fish, like the one up Redhead Avenue.
That's the one. The garlics are like a satellite dish. They're huge, right? And anyway, I'd finished the pizza and I hadn't even had half the garlic, right? Now I love me garlic and I was dipping them in, but anyway, I put it to one side And I'm sitting watching the match with the kids, and I look at me right, and Jordan had drank it all. And the whole tub was gone, and he was licking the inside of the tub, and I went, hang on, because I knew how much garlic had been in there. And
I wonder where he gets that from.
and I like looking, Leila like looked at me, and she went, he's just taking after you, Dad, to be fair.
God, he had a mouth like Andy's flip-flop this morning.
Bless him. Well, I got him to brush his teeth before bed, because I thought tomorrow, if you don't, be like licking a pool table. Do you know what I mean? It'll be horrendous.
Doesn't matter. You can brush your teeth all you want, mate.
yeah.
It doesn't help.
No,
Doesn't help the next day. Like, just look down this fella.
I only had garlic bread 2.5 hours ago. It's not. It's last night's garlic.
It was.
I'm just topping up. Those show stuff crust.
Poor Mrs. Best later on tonight.
It's when me bum starts. That's
Wow.
When me bum.
that's when the problem starts. That's when
You can tell we've gone over an hour. This is where we dip.
That's when the spare room starts
Can't
calling.
get shots after
So
dark.
I tell you what, the next Mark versus Decker, what we can do, right? So how Ronaldo has his moisturizing regime 3 times a day. The loser of Mark versus Decker has got to do with that bestie.
Oh, yeah.
Moisturizer.
Just moisture 3
Full
times a
body.
day.
Just rub them down with a lard.
Imagine the amount of hair.
With lard.
You say hair.
I was going to say that you
It'll be like waxing a bear.
you do the thing where you do the blood thing and see which vitamins you're both putting in. Like.
Vitamin garlic, you.
Thanks everybody who has joined with there tonight live on YouTube. It means a lot to us. Just like the video, that'll do. Become a subscriber as well. If you do want to give an extra bit back, it is just $2.99 a month to become a member, and you get more stuff and just loads of keep men stuff, man. Just go and do that.
Oh, no.
I do have one question before we go.
Yep.
Where we're going to finish in the Euros? Now we've had one game. Where we're going to go?
Semis.
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 You don't win your tournament your first game. No one ever won the Euros in the first game of the World Cup. Like you built towards it. We got the final against City. The first game against Croatia was fairly similar to last night. Didn't do that one against Scotland. Italia 90. The first game was desperate.
Yeah, it was desperate.
1-0 draw against Ireland.
Yeah.
Didn't play well against Egypt. Beat them. Played out against the Dutch. We don't. When we go far in tournaments, we don't seem to play very well. Euro 96 were desperate against the Swiss. Weren't great against Scotland. Unreal against the Dutch.
Yeah. Spain
were terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
We got beat really.
Yeah.
They had a goal disallowed for offside that wasn't offside.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Whenever we've got quite far in a tournament,
wasn't Big Al banging on about we've only won 1 in 10 of the opening games. Yeah. So now it's 2-11.
Mentioned a couple of times, yeah.
2-11 now.
No, we've won every opening game under Southgate.
Well, I had read that, but I don't know why.
Croatia 1-0 in the last Euros. The World Cup just gone. We beat Iran 6-0.
No, I think he meant Euros.
All right. Yeah.
He said 1 in 10, so that would have been Southgate, by the way. Like that one.
2-1 against Switzerland 96, 2000. We'd got beat 3-2 off Portugal. Beat off France in 2004, 2-1. 2008 we didn't qualify. 2012 did we beat France?
I'm just going my Big Al.
Russia.
He said 1 in 10, and then so it was 2-11 now.
Yeah, Croatia, and then last time around.
Some of that does annoy us though. Again, right? Every single man and his dog, right? Every time I talk about football, is Ireland shite, got beat off Iceland again, the friendly, never going to win now, and He's shite. You win a game of football and they go, "Oh, it's absolute shite. That it was rubbish. That we'll never win with that." Well, you've already said that. You've just said this to us constantly before a ball was kicked. We're not going to win anyway. So why are you fucking getting your neck? Isn't it, Twist?
Yeah.
You're already saying we're not going to win now, so shut the fuck up.
Just to end it.
Sorry, I got a bit. Just shut the fuck up, man.
Shut the fuck up.
I just shut up, man. Do you know what I mean? Just get behind your country. Do you know what I mean? Just fucking get behind them. Fucking how assholes
get make it to the semis, depending on what happens. Because if we win our group, and you'd expect France to win their group, we'll meet in the next round.
Right. I want one word from you next, okay? Because sorry, Jules, I did see your comment there.
And if we meet France, we're out.
Fixtures get released tomorrow. Newcastle United fixtures. Bestie, who is our first game going to be against?
Real Madrid, probably. We all
Spurs away. It's always Spurs away.
Spurs away for Mark.
Always Spurs away.
No, it isn't.
Spurs away for Mark. Bestie, what's yours?
I don't know. It's random. 1-19.
Just pick a team.
Forest.
Home away.
Home.
Wolves at home.
Wolves at home. I'm going to go Liverpool away.
Hey, guess what?
There's been no leaks yet.
I don't miss the first game of the season this year.
Do you not?
I don't.
You've been kicked out of Turkey, like?
No, I'm just going a week earlier.
All right. Okay.
I'm going to Turkey as well this time. Amazing. I was lying on the bed and I booked a holiday.
I bet you come back with really white teeth.
Well, then you look. I mean, I'm not going to go looking for that, but I want white teeth. So.
Well, we didn't play Spurs away first game last season.
We played Villa, but I'm sure they're like the 3 seasons before that.
I think we played 2 in a row, didn't we? Yeah. Joe scored, didn't he? Remember Joe Linton scored in the sun? That's a lovely day.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time. What you doing? Ta-ra.
Was one on us.
No,